Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Don't Argue podcast. Hope you've been well. Thank you again for tuning in. Look, I'll be giving guys my review of the game we had last night. I thought I'd leave it and sort of sleep on it, so to speak. And apologies, I had it live set up, but just due to personal reasons, I couldn't do it. I've been saying that we'll get into it. DJ, hit that intro. Alright guys, thank you again for tuning in. So we'll get straight into it. So Freo winning a somewhat uninspiring, very sloppy game, I suppose. 69-34, so that's 9-15-69. Freo, 4-10, Adelaide Crows. The way I can describe this game here was probably, in one way it was lackluster, right? But in another way it was actually pretty good. So to talk about the lackluster stuff, forward entries, poor. The fact that we were able to virtually, most of the game anyway, after the first quarter, surprise, surprise, keep Adelaide at bay. In other words, virtually in their own 50 was good. You know, we had the mids there to rebound, etc. Turn the ball over a few times. But the fact that we couldn't convert really was, not great. Obviously, 15 behinds there. There was a few goals we should have got. Normally, we didn't, but it is what it is. Now, I think this game here, I think almost feel like both teams, I'm not going to say didn't want it, but I just feel like the lack of skill, execution was all over the park, to be fair with you, right? Now, I think credit to the Crows, and we got to understand here, the Crows were a team that were, they were wanting, they were needing, they were desperate. Okay, that's just the reality. Looking down the barrel of potential 0-3 would motivate any team, and I think we got to also take a look at that, you know. Now, back to the game. Like I said, it was sloppy, it was uninspired, but you could see patches, particularly in the second quarter, I thought anyway, that's when it sort of turned around, anyway. You know, I think that's just the reality of it all. Now, Fremantle, just looking just quickly here at some of the players, obviously, I thought some of the key players for this game here, Hayden Young, Sarong, Luke Ryan, Michael Walters, Alex Pearce, Jordan Clark. I also want to have big shout out to Young, Fife, and Jeremy Sharp. I thought Sharp, you know, pun intended, he was very sharp. He was just there in the moments we needed him. He was there, similar to Michael Frederick as well. Banfield, it wasn't a bad showing, to be fair with you, I thought anyway. Draper as well, here and there, but this guy's going to be a solid gun. I hope he gets selected. He's going to be a gun. He's fast, he's quick, he's agile, he's tall, but he's also gutsy, and he reads the game well. There was 6 points I just pointed out there straight off the bat. I thought that's what I saw from last night. Brandon Walker finding his form, right? Finding his form after injury. Patches there in the game. I appreciate what he did. Sorta one of his more quieter games, but I thought he jumped in at times. Yeah. Again, I appreciated Matt Tabner and his 2 goals, right? I know there's a lot of critics there, but look, so long as he has more goals than behinds, I'm not really too upset, right? That's just the reality of it all. Tom Emmett, a quiet one from the South Aussie there, but nonetheless, did little bits and pieces there. I'm appreciating what I'm seeing, and I'm sure it'll all click to fruition there. I don't have an issue with Tom Emmett and the way he's been playing, if I do say so myself. Josh Tracy, big goal as well there. And I touched on Alex Pearce. He kept Taylor Walker in his pocket whole game. Luke Ryan as well with Rankin. What I was really appreciating was how there was just no real ascendancy from the Crows, particularly after the first quarter. The likes of Rankin, Rochelle, right, Tex Walker, Fogarty, they didn't really run amok. Ironically, though, I thought it was the Crows' backline that was actually really good in this game, to be fair with you. Anyway, nonetheless, Brayshaw, Luke Jackson. Luke Jackson had you know what's funny is despite Luke Jackson and what he brought, which was good to be fair with you, it was actually probably arguably his most quietest game so far. Yet we're still able to establish some dominance, and he won a few of the hit-outs as well. James Aish, superb. Jordan Clark as well from the backline. Him and Hayden Young, and just Hayden Young in general. You can just see what he brings. This game here needed some players to step up. I think particularly in the second half, and some did. I touched on Luke Jackson, Caleb Sarong, and all that. But I think a huge shout out needs to go to Michael Walters, son. I thought that dude's boot. He only got 2 goals, but that dude's boot and his general play, whether that was disrupting the Crows getting out there in 50, or even just handballing, getting the ball out there, kicking it to a mark, he was just on fire. And I think, in my opinion, he was definitely my top 5 there overall. Matthew Johnson, Michael Frederick, Jai Amos. A bit of a quiet game from Jai again, but in saying that, he got 2 goals. You just feel like... what's the word? You just feel like there's a game where he's ready to explode, and I hope it's next week. But anyway, that's probably it. I mean, again, appreciation to Ethan Hughes. I try to touch on these players individually now. I think my reviews will be better that way, because you guys can get more meat. You know what I mean? More meat in the burger, so to speak. But yeah, look, the defense. I thought, I touched on that. Right, there was lackluster play, but on the other end of the coin, I thought there was beauty, and the beauty is our defense. We kept the Crows at 34 points. I think that's the lowest score margin they've ever had against us since we've played them head-to-head ever, since the Crows came into inception. I think, when, 96, 97? Anyway, point is, Crows were kept at 34 points. Our defense was sublime. It was hard, it was rigid, it was tough. It was no nonsense, I think, led by Alex Pearce, a captain who I think is winning a lot of us over. You guys know I'm not the biggest Alex Pearce fan, but I cannot help but just step back. Now, I'm not saying this guy's going to have perfect games. To be fair, his games have been up and down-ish, but I'm saying at moments when you need someone to step up, when you need somebody from the back line to do something, to cause a stir, to change momentum, he does it. He does it. And Alex Pearce again today, I touched on it before. He kept Taylor Walker in his pocket. So for those of you who don't understand what it means, all the terms that the terms that the youngies are using, the young ones. When I say keeping in the pocket, I mean basically keeping them locked down. Basically virtually giving Tex Walker no power, right? And that's exactly what Pearce did. Again, yeah, it was a scrappy affair for the Crows there in their forward line. But I just appreciate the fact that Freo, despite that, were able to find themselves somewhat in the second and third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, obviously, that's when we somewhat sort of run away with it. Now, if we got more goals than behinds, I think it would have been a lot better. But, hey, it is what it is. I don't think it was a pretty game from us at all, by any means, at all. But we got the job done, all thanks to our defense, I thought. But in particular, we just found ourselves somewhat through that game there. A scrappy game. Is it one that you'll be pleased with? I don't know. I mean, you sort of take the good there, right? But then you also got to look at the bad. In saying it, though, you take it 3-0, 3-0. What a beautiful start to the season. Since being a Freo fan in 2018, I've never experienced that before, ever. So I'm very happy about that. Now, in saying that, we celebrate, but we also turn our attention to Carlton over there in Adelaide, and I'll have a preview on that game. Yeah, we take the win, but you just feel like at the same time as well, there's so much to work on, but you can't complain. Do Freo have another gear? You bet they do. They do. We have a few more gears, I think, with this team. Scrappy wins, nonetheless, but you take them. Yeah, but in saying that, though, I appreciate this one. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Take it easy. See you guys next time. Go to the Dockers and don't argue.